This is The Space Shot, episode 152 for October 13th, 2017. Benjamin Franklin and science fiction. Hey everyone, welcome to The Space Shot, your daily space history, pop culture, and news fix. I'm John Molnix. I decided to mix up what I've been reading lately, as evidenced by the fact that I do a daily space history and pop culture podcast. I love history. I decided to go a bit farther back for reading this time, leaving the 20th century for the 18th. I've been reading through one of the collections of essays and articles written by Benjamin Franklin, and I decided to look through these works for mentions of science and invention. I have two quotes that I want to share with you today, and after each one of them, I'll speak about that quote briefly. Here's the first quote. Quote, "The rapid progress true science now makes occasions my regretting sometimes that I was born so soon. It is impossible to imagine the height to which may be carried, in 1,000 years, the power of man over matter. We may perhaps learn to deprive large masses of their gravity and give them absolute levity for the sake of easy transport. Agriculture may diminish its labor and double its produce. All diseases may by sure means be prevented or cured, not excepting even that of old age, and our lives lengthened at pleasure even beyond the antediluvian standard. Oh, that moral science wherein is a fair way of improvement, that men would cease to be wolves to one another, and that human beings would at length learn what they now improperly call humanity." For those of you wondering what antediluvian means, it's something that existed before the Great Biblical Flood, or just generally something that's older. I don't know about you, but Franklin talking about depriving large masses of their gravity to give them levity makes me think of Han Solo being carried along by the bounty hunter after he was encased in carbonite during The Empire Strikes Back. Franklin got a little bit science fiction-y in that sentence, and I dig it. On a more serious note, his closing sentiment is powerful and should make all of us pause a moment to consider that statement fully. Quote, "Oh, that moral science wherein is fair a way of improvement, that men would cease to be wolves to one another, and that human beings would at length learn what they now improperly call humanity. I wonder what would happen if our moral science, or our moral development, had evolved as quickly as our technology." In this sentence, Franklin hits at the heart of science fiction, the human condition, morality, how we treat each other, and what we're capable of forms the core of many speculative science fiction works. Using the future to examine the social and political parts of life is one of the reasons that I enjoy science fiction as much as I do. Here's the last quote I want to read for today. Quote, "I have sometimes almost wished it had been my destiny to be born 2 or 3 centuries hence. For invention and improvement are prolific and beget more of their kind. The present progress is rapid. Many of great importance, now unthought of, will before that period be produced. And then I might not only enjoy their advantages, but have my curiosity gratified in knowing what they are to be. I see a little absurdity in what I have just written, but it is to a friend who will wink and let it pass, while I mention one more reason for such a wish, which is that the art of the psychic shall be improved in portion with other arts. We may then be able to avoid diseases and live as long as the patriarchs in Genesis, to which I suppose we should make little objection." For those of you that watch the TV show Fringe, the psychic sciences will sound familiar. I find it interesting that someone born over 300 years ago was asking such questions and sharing those sentiments in his correspondence and writings with friends. I would wager that many of you that listen to this podcast probably want to know what life would be like 2 or 3 centuries from now. I know I would. Interestingly enough, we are 2 to 3 centuries hence from Franklin's time, and I wonder what Franklin would think of modern technology, politics, and society. I have a feeling that he would dive into the technology of our time. Franklin is credited with inventing bifocals, among many other things, so I'd be willing to bet he'd be extremely interested in things like virtual reality and augmented reality. As for our, quote, moral science, I think he would agree that we still have a way to go on that front. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or click the link in the show notes. Let me know what you think of the show by leaving a review in iTunes. It takes just a minute to do that, and it makes a huge difference because it helps even more people find the show. I'd also appreciate it if you could share The Space Shot with your friends and family and anyone else that enjoys podcasts. Tomorrow, I've got some more reading that I'm going to talk about, and Sunday is Cassini Day. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.